Today we're hosting a session called Rethinking IT, and we would be really happy to invite and let David, and Rachel share their insights into what's driving IT decision makers today. And this is coming from years of experience of having daily conversations and connecting to IT decision makers from various industries and with who work and influence a lot of different decisions happening today for enterprises and SMBs as well. Before we dive in, I want to go through a few quick housekeeping rules. This webinar is being recorded just like all of our other webinars. A recording of the session is going to be shared with you via email once the webinar is finished, probably sometime tomorrow. Questions and comments for our presenters should be placed in our Q&A section. I know you guys engage in the chat, but if you really want to add on a question that we will address a bit later, please add that in the Q&A. At the end of this webinar, we're going to leave some time to have our conversation with you and answer all of your questions. So today's team, I'm joined by Rachel Asher, David Cheney, and David Zagorski, both incredible experts and my colleagues. And again, they will be sharing a lot of their insights from the many conversations they have every day. Really diving deep into what's driving that kind of decision-making process for you guys today. So with no further ado, let's jump right in. And I want to ask you guys, and feel free to take this question, whoever wants to address it first. From all the kind of conversations you've been having, what would you say are the top 3 trends you're seeing from decision makers that are being brought up in these conversations? And you can address the many different topics that we are all aware of. So coming from, AI and where it is today, tool consolidation, conversations about the cloud, all topics that we hear about. I would love to know what exactly is it that you're hearing today.
Hey, and I think I'll field that one. Hey, everyone, this is David Zagorski. So in no particular order, I would have to say it would probably be cloud adoption, then there would be cybersecurity and data protection, and then probably as a third one, I would say the artificial intelligence and the automation. But around the cloud adoption, I think we're seeing organizations, increasingly adopting, cloud-based solutions and services. And there's a real heavy focus with IT decision makers on focusing and implementing really hybrid infrastructure models. And then for the cybersecurity and data protection, I think we're all seeing a rise in cyber threats and data breaches. So really placing a strong emphasis on the cybersecurity and the data protection, advanced security, maybe firewall, intrusion detection, the whole endpoint protection as well. And then the third, again, in no particular order, the artificial intelligence and the automation, really. And I'm thinking that, IT decision makers are really exploring this potential maybe versus other network engineers. And we're just starting to embrace the evolution of AI, and it's kind of nice seeing what's out there.
That's great. Rachel, David, do you want to add anything?
Sure, I'll hop in here. So I definitely agree. Dave, hi, Rachel here. I think that cloud, AI, and cyber data protection are probably the top 3 most important. And I do think that specifically the AI and cyber data security also go hand in hand, right? Because with the rise of AI, we're also having a lot more potential breaches. Security breaches are getting a lot sharper, smarter, more efficient, quicker, and things like that. So I think that as the rise of AI comes, also the rise of data privacy or cybersecurity is also going to rise. So I think that if one comes, then the other one is obviously going to always be at the forefront as well.
To follow up on that, I know that some of the main topics that we covered also in past sessions was like the very serious drive towards efficiency. Obviously, efficiency also relies on a lot of the things that you just mentioned. But I really wanted to know if we thought about like when 2023 started and this huge emphasis on efficiency was very evident. So based on your experience, how much impact do you think that this kind of focus or refocus actually had on like the day to day of IT teams and IT leaders?
Yeah, sure. And I'll take this. Hi, everyone. I'm David as well. Nice to meet you all. So, yeah, I mean, efficiency is obviously a key principle that has become increasingly important. IT teams are being left with no other choice other than to do, more with less. And that's across the board, by the way, right? Having to reduce costs and find cheaper alternatives, manpower, so lower headcount, and consolidation of tools, right? So this has led to IT teams needing to get creative, right? And finding the tools that can cover more than just say help desk or just remote management or asset management. So finding these kinds of tools, I would say, has almost become, the holy grail when it comes to shortlisting an IT tool stack. And of course, AI has been a central theme, as we mentioned in the previous point. It's a central theme, I think, in every conversation, in almost every meeting, to improve efficiency and to automate a lot of, those workflows that are being done manually previously. Yeah.
So you're seeing AI really being looked at, probably one of the top enablers of reaching to that stage of efficiency. I'm also wondering, because you've mentioned this before, you've had conversations about tool consolidation, and I'm thinking also, where folks stand today whenever they kind of have these first conversations with you, when they're looking at their tech stack and really calibrating that tech that we've all been talking about since COVID and up until very recently. What are you really hearing in terms of where are people at today? Did they close the gap? Are they looking at AI as the big savior? What are you hearing?
So,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
go
go on,
go ahead.
Rachel.
Sorry. No, you can go ahead.
No, just with the conversations I've been having, I almost always get asked, "Do you have any AI features going, within the platform?" And I'm always excited to say that we do. But really, what people are looking for is just to make their lives easier, right? So initially, I think there's a trust thing. Does the AI really work? Does it really do what I need it to do? And once they do trust it, I think it's a no-brainer. Because again, we're talking about efficiency, and sort of when it comes to AI, that is something that without a doubt gives them that efficiency, because it's doing all these mundane tasks that take you so long to actually go ahead and write the script, or find the right words to do X, Y, and Z. These things are becoming part of our day to day, right? So when it comes to looking at an IT, your tool stack, if AI is incorporated in that, I think that just has efficiency sort of ticked right next to it. So I see adoption for sure. I see excitement, and I see this really being incorporated in day-to-day lives, within IT as well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Rachel, you
And
want to?
to add to that, you were asking Anna about tech debt, and I think in the conversations that me and my colleagues David have, every single day, is that we're still sort of playing catch up, very abrupt sort of shift en masse to remote work. Now, that happened again. It was 3 years ago. It seems like it was just yesterday to some of us that we're still, sort of playing catch up. That many tools were maybe purchased to do quick and dirty fixes, like you mentioned, for remote access, or for a help desk, or for an asset management tool, or for an RMM or patching, or whatever it is. And now is the time where the new normal has sort of settled in. And I think a lot of companies or IT folks are taking stock into what do they have. And a word I'm hearing a lot is consolidation. I think that a lot of companies are really looking now to consolidate. We've sort of adopted either a hybrid or a norm of remote work in some capacity, and now we need to make it work for us. No longer are we doing it for the situation that we were in. We've now adopted this normal, and now we're going to make it work for us as efficiently as possible, consolidating both from a software perspective and from a financial perspective to try to get everything as much as they can into an all-in-one system and into a single pane of glass where they no longer need to be siloed out, where they're not communicating with each other in terms of the software. And as Dave mentioned, very, very aptly, that AI does play a large role in that as well. For helping us play catch up in that arena.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because we were you were discussing the fact that we're now hybrid, and a lot of people, they're still working from home, but so many companies, are coming out with these announcements where they're bringing people back into the office, and it's almost shifting again. We all know that obviously hybrid is probably kind of the majority of formats out there right now, but would you say that that has an additional impact on IT teams and kind of like organizations like readiness to receive, I guess, people back into the offices? But also, we were talking about this cost wise, right? Folks spend so much money on getting everything ready to be all remote, and then now people are going back into the offices. Like, are you hearing kind of what is the sentiment out there in these conversations that you're having about that, or may not even be an issue?
Well, I'll step in over here. So again, I think I'm going to go back to the consolidation as well. Like you said, Anna, we kind of just got to the point where we got used to working remotely. We've integrated all of these, neat new tools, and now we're back at the office. And now, organizations are looking again, how can we consolidate? Do we really need, all of these tools? Is it, better that maybe we have a centralized platform, that single source of truth, and not scatter, our eggs everywhere else? So I think we're just getting into the point again where we're looking and reformulating and trying to understand really, what that stack looks like.
Great, thank you. And
sorry, can I just hop in there? I agree. And to add on to what Dave is saying is, I think at this point, since the pandemic, the getting back into sort of either the hybrid or the work from office is that companies now are evaluating tools that they want to grow with. Right, they're not just looking to do those quick and dirty fixes, as we mentioned. I believe that they're looking for, so I'm hearing a lot more multi-years, right? I'm hearing a lot more, we'd like to have a 3-year agreement and lock in the price, a 5-year agreement and lock in the price. They know that this is something that they're vetting, they're choosing, they want to go with a tool that they feel like they're going to grow with, that they trust, that's innovative, and that's going to take them over the next 3, 4, or 5 years, as opposed to, just buying something on a one-off freemium or a monthly. Or something that would be a shorter term. I think we're looking a little bit more long term in terms of the IT tools that a lot of folks are taking on.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think that also obviously naturally the expectations on the other side begin rising, right? Because now when we're looking at a new platform or a new tool to roll out, we're expecting it to kind of tick all the boxes, whereas before you had potentially something kind of scattered. I was wondering if you guys had kind of any insights into questions potentially about compliance, right? And things that, again, and like security, specifically with folks, going through these transitions of maybe working from home and then being rolled back into the office. Are there any conversations or interesting things that you can share with us? And maybe also just touch on, I don't know if, when you're having these conversations, does it matter really like which industry this, potential like IT director manager is coming in from? Is the size of the organization really something that kind of affects where that conversation goes?
Yeah, I can take this one. So, I mean, as we said before, return to office, I don't think it's ever going to be what it was, pre-pandemic. A lot of the workforce have realized it can be just as efficient from home, right? But for ITDs, I would say for IT departments, and especially, as you were saying, companies in highly regulated industries such as banks, hospitals, that previously were needing to find solutions, strictly on-prem or basically on-prem, they have sort of got used to the idea and had to really act very, very quickly to find a solution for their employees to work from home, right? And that, I think, fast-tracked in many ways the move to cloud and the digital transformation of these companies, right? So compliance and security, I think, is as important as it ever was. But I think when you're looking for solutions or consolidated solutions that are ahead of the curve, I think that's a really important place to be right now. And yeah, I mean, compliance and security is at the forefront of everyone's mind right now. And I definitely believe that whole hybrid situation that we've just been talking about has really expedited that process.
Thanks. And actually, I was just thinking, since we were talking about the fact that AI has such an impact, and I guess it's an interesting also kind of angle to speak on with that tension, I'm sure, that exists in some of these conversations with folks, bringing up AI generally, but also, as it pertains to not only, compliance and privacy and cybersecurity, but maybe also, to where they're at, right? Like job security and these things that we keep hearing over and over again. Is AI going to replace everyone, or is it really a tool that we just need to learn to work with? I'd love to hear what you guys are hearing.
I'll go ahead and step in on this one again. I think the AI is here to stay, but it's going to be a complementary tool to whatever you're doing. It's not going to essentially replace us, or at least not yet. We need to embrace it. We need to understand, this is the new way. But again, it's really only to enhance our jobs, to make our lives a little bit easier. But I think we need to embrace the complementary fact and know that if it's not going away, let's just embrace it and understand how we can work with it.
Right, David, Rachel?
Yeah, I'm just going to hop in on that as well to sort of go along with what Dave is saying. I think that in many of the conversations that I have, day to day with IT folks, both in the IT sphere and in the MSP sphere, is intrigue surrounding the AI, and also sort of fear of being left behind in the dust. If other people are sort of embracing it, they sort of feel the need to also see what's out there, also understand it, because nobody wants to be the one that doesn't have the edge or gets left sort of, in the dust in that way, because we are moving forward that way. Many software are now going to be incorporating AI as part of their offering, as we do, but many others as well. So it's going to come across, and if you're not going to embrace it at some point, either specifically on the MSP level or even within an organization, an internal IT department, I feel at some point will eventually leave people behind the curve. And I think that that's what the big push is right now for everyone to sort of really get out there and understand it. And that's what I'm hearing a lot of feedback from when I have conversations and in my day to day.
That's great. Let's move into a little bit of the conversation about how has the world changed when it comes to, when folks are evaluating their tech stacks, and has that, I guess, entire process as far as, influencer committees and the folks that are actually involved within the process from day one until, a decision is made. How are you seeing that it changed, I guess, over the last couple of years? Has it changed? I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. I've actually found a real shift in the last year or two, maybe, since sort of post-pandemic, if we can call it that yet. But I really feel that when it comes to buy committees, they're definitely still there. But I think companies are going through an evaluation process for various tools, and I think the evaluators are becoming more and more important, right? The people that are actually going to be using the software at the end of the day, they are the ones that are having a much bigger influence than previously when it comes to choosing the right stack for their company. And I'm really hearing I'm having a lot of conversations where, you get to the decision maker stage, and they are always bringing in sort of the evaluators into the conversation, and they're having a much bigger influence than they were previously with regards to the actual tools that they're deciding on deploying. So I think it didn't always used to be like that, and whether that's part of where the world's going today, and it's about an intuitive tool is very, very important, right? And I don't know how important it was previously. It was just get the job done, right? Today, it's all about how easy is a tool to use, how intuitive it is, how quickly can I, time to value, and how quickly can I actually get these tasks done. Automation is obviously important. And I think all of those aspects make it really important that the evaluator feels comfortable with the tool, right? And I think that's why this shift is happening, where companies are saying, find a tool that you like, find a tool that's easy to use, intuitive, ahead of the curve, and we'll base a lot of our decision not just on the price and the consolidation side of things, which are obviously all super important, but it's about sort of how are you going to be using the tool day to day, right?
I'm going to hop in. I agree. And I want to add one. I agree very strongly. And what I also have heard in a very specific conversation that I'm now thinking about is how much time is the training going to take, right? How much time can I train the rest of my staff to use this particular platform? Now, speaking of, not going to mention any names, obviously, but speaking about a different tool, the turnover of his staff was so high that by the time they were trained to use the tool, which took about 4 to 5 months, there was already maybe some sort of turnover, and therefore they were losing money effectively where the tool was not intuitive enough. So it's such a huge money waster when a tool is not quick to use, easy, and implementable from day one. If from day one you can't get in and perform certain actions, it's going to be a very hard sell in this day and age, especially coming from that bottom-up approach where we really need to get the buy-in from all of the staff, whereas as before, I think it was a top, higher level decision.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, really putting, kind of like the power back in the hands of the folks that are actually using the tools, right, day to day. And I know I've heard you guys share that, you have you kind of like C-level decision makers tell you that, if their employee loved it, if a team member loved it, then that's definitely what they're going to be going with, because it's super important to keep them happy. And also, I think they understand, right? That's where kind of, again, the day-to-day expertise comes from. So I'm wondering if you have maybe more insights to share as far as who are basically like the first approachers. You would say, again, it would start for someone who was, evaluating the tools and kind of jumps on maybe like a free trial and experiments with products a little bit. And then they bring it back into, their bigger team and orgs. Or is it still something kind of handed down where, someone says, go out and kind of test tool number 1, 2, and 3 and tell us what you think about them?
I think it's a bit of both still, but I think it's still that underlying factor that the influence of the decision is based on the person that's evaluating it, right? Whether it's starting from a trial or starting from top down, bottom up, I think either way, it's about the team and the people that are going to be using it day to day, right? And what I think is really important, also basing on a little bit about what Rachel was saying previously, is about companies are looking to future-proof their tech stack, right? So if a tool takes 6 months to implement, then with the turnover that's happening, that is not future-proofing a product, right? You need something that can be, time to value is quick, and that, any turnover whatsoever, or a new person that comes onto the team, you need to be up and running quickly. This is, business critical software that, that they're looking to looking to evaluate and purchase. It has to be something that is quick to adoption. Right. So I think future-proofing your IT stack is super important, and I think that's a key factor as well.
Very important and very insightful. Thank you, guys. I'm just going to remind everybody on here that if you want to ask a question, now is the time. We're going to have about 10 minutes in a little bit And we would love to have our experts here really answer your questions. I think this is a good kind of segue to talk a little bit about, what we're seeing at Atera and kind of like where we are today with everything. Everything that you've mentioned, but also, with AI kind of really taking center stage and all these discussions and really being, as we say, the driving force behind kind of this race towards efficiency. What do you guys? What can you guys share with us about where we are today with AI, and maybe really some of kind of like the comments and feedback that you've been receiving with these IT folks that you've been talking to?
I could jump in here. I'm having a lot of conversations, just like Rachel and David as well too, and people are really embracing, this new Microsoft OpenAI, and really they just want to see if it works. I think David had mentioned that earlier today. Does it really do what I need it to do? And I think with what's being pushed out, it's in initial phases, it is, and it's only going to be getting better through every iteration. Like I said, the AI is here to stay. We just, we just need to learn to embrace it. But yeah, I haven't really had any sort of negative feedback around that. It's all really been like, wow, these are, great ways to save time and put some time back into, focusing on business centric activities and really getting ahead of, what's important on their side.
Can one of you maybe touch a little bit on the actual kind of capabilities that, we see open up right now, in the way that we've basically had this integration kind of run through where we're at today? I think people
Within the platform?
Within the platform, yeah.
Before we get to that, I just do want to take one step back and to answer the question that Dave was answering. So I agree that there is a general feeling of desiring to embrace AI and a general inquisitiveness surrounding AI. But there brings up the point that we talked about in the beginning, which is essentially security, compliance. Where does it go? Where is it living? Where is it being fed to? And that's probably the number one question that I'm getting when we're introducing the capabilities of AI. Yes, the functionality. Yes, some people are a little leery about, will it replace? Will it supplement? How much can it really do? But those are sort of side points, I think, compared to the actual big question of where is it getting the data from and where is my data going in terms of the AI? And I think that, with all the compliance that we have at Atera surrounding our AI to protect, of course, all of our data in our own snapshot is super important, always to reassure people and let them know that that data is living in its own enclosed model that's not being leaked out anywhere, going anywhere, and is only enriching its own snapshot. So that's also, I think, that's important for us to always have on the top of our minds when we're speaking with IT folks regarding AI. I'm going to let one of you take the other question about what we have within.
That was super important, Rachel, and also obviously I'm sure that Microsoft comes up a lot in your conversations, and the fact that
correct.
We have a very strong strategic relationship with Microsoft, and all of our developments in the context of AI are supported by probably the most compliant organization out there, or at least one of them. But yes, great points. David, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm speaking about it every day, as is Rachel and David. And first of all, it really excites me to talk about something that is so exciting, and I think we're getting to a stage where, when I'm speaking to someone and they ask me, what do you have with regards to AI? Are you, is there any AI capabilities? And every time I discuss it and show it to them, I think I'm as excited as they are to see it every time. It's one of those that, it blows my mind every time I see it. And I think the fact that within an IT tool stack, if you're able to use AI to complement what you're doing, it's not about replacing. We've said this many times today. It's not about replacing what you're doing today. It's about complementing and working together with what you're doing today. And if your job is going to be easier by the fact that AI is here, and as we've all said, it is here, I think it's something that is just going to get stronger and stronger. And, Atera is adding features to the AI piece on a regular basis. And the fact that it's contained and the fact that it is just getting cleverer and cleverer, I think it doesn't just make your job easier. When I say your job, I'm talking about our customers. It makes my job easier as well.
Very much agreed. I do see we have a question that came in. I see also that it was answered by someone within the chat. So thank you guys. But I will ask you, David. I guess let's see if you can take this. Does Atera offer solutions aimed at companies who provide shared services to many different companies? If so, are there any tools that aid in acquisitions? If you need a clarification, maybe let's have.
Yeah, I think a clarification would be important here, because the first part of the question, I believe, yes, providing shared services to many different companies sound like a hybrid IT MSP sort of situation. I'm not really. I think it needs to be clarified a bit before
Yeah,
we can answer it.
feel free if you're still here to jump in and clarify your question, if you want the team to answer. And if anyone else has any questions, now it would be a great time to ask them. If not, I'm gonna let everyone kind of think about it for another minute or two, and we're gonna be very mindful about everyone's time and kind of prepare to have final words. I think maybe one last question I had for you guys is, with everything you've been seeing and watching and hearing, and you were also talking about kind of future proofing. What do you think, and do you think that there's like a next big trend coming in? Do you have like a forecast into kind of 2024, or is what we're seeing right now, I guess, with AI really taking over and all the other things that we've been talking about, that's where we're going? If you have anything else that you've been hearing or you're kind of forecasting, I think it would be interesting to hear. David, or Rachel?
I think it's been said already. I think the big hot trend for the 2023 2024 is still going to be the AI. I'm going to throw in consolidation out there as well too, just with this hybrid model of work from home, work from the office. But unless anyone else has got something that maybe we haven't figured out yet, I think AI is that trend.
Wonderful. So, I mean, I think with that, I don't see any more questions coming in. I really want to thank you for joining me today. I think this was an extremely insightful conversation. Mentioning one more time that we will be sending the recordings out probably by tomorrow. So watch for that in your inbox. And of course, if you have any more questions that you think about after we're done, feel free to reach out through our social media or by email. We would love to hear from you. So with that, I wish everybody a great day wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.